In my last mouse video, I reviewed the G203 from a Swiss company that was only $27 but managed to be better for me than other mice I've used that cost more than twice its price. It had stellar build quality, a great sensor, and even good looks at a price that make it a no-brainer for me to recommend to anyone whose hand size and grip style suit it. Armed with the knowledge that cheap mice can be really good, I decided to check out another budget mouse to see if the G203 was more than just a fluke. After some searching, I landed on the Nixeus Revel, a mouse that seemed extremely similar to the Zowie FK series and is currently $34 on Amazon. Before the G203, I had been using a Zowie FK1 exclusively for about 3 years, so I figured that I'd pretty easily be able to tell if the Revel offered a comparable experience for a lower price. Considering that the Revel manages to pack in a 3360 sensor, something that FK users have been begging for, I figured that it would have a pretty good chance of being as good, maybe even better. So, is this the Zowie FK killer? It's not. No, it's not at all. Okay, so full disclosure, I forced myself to use the Revel exclusively for about 2 weeks and then freely swapped between it and my other mice before writing this review. The second I got this thing onto my desk and wrapped my right hand around it, I immediately said to myself internally, oh, that's too bad. I would describe the materials and build quality as being unpleasant. The slightly shiny, untextured plastic sides manage to both look and feel like a McDonald's Happy Meal toy. The cable, despite being rubberized, is kind of stiff compared to other mice, and the matte white finish on my specific model is... I'm not really sure how to describe it. I guess it's an eggshell finish. Rubbing my fingers across it can yield some pretty ugly sounds from time to time, and those sounds best sum up what the surface feels like. It does come in 2 other finishes though, glossy and rubberized. Glossy mice are a complete enigma to me. I struggle to comprehend why anyone would prefer that. The rubberized has to be better than the matte I have here, but I don't have one, so I can't say for sure. The only thing that I can say with absolute certainty is that I do not like the matte finish. In terms of size and shape, based on the measurements provided by Nixeus, it's slightly shorter in length than the FK1, but a millimeter longer than the FK2. Width is in line with the FK1 Plus, but it's notably taller than all of the FK series. Based on my own experience of swapping between the FK1 and Revel, the FK is definitely a slightly slimmer, shorter design, which makes it preferable for fingertip grip. They're definitely similar though. I have 18 by 9 centimeter hands, and the FK1 is a perfect fit for me with a palm grip. For fingertip grip, I can and have made it work, but it's not ideal. I'd imagine an FK2 would be a better fit for me. The Revel is also a good fit for me with palm grip, but definitely a little big for fingertip grip. Overall, this is a slightly larger mouse. Just like the FK series, it has a one-piece unibody top, rather than the separate clicks you'll find on something like the G203. While registering a click is not a problem, click feel is not ideal. A sort of snappy sweet spot does not seem to exist, which gives it a rather mushy, imprecise feel no matter where you press. It's easily the worst thing about the mouse for me. The scroll wheel is light, dare I say rattly, with extremely faint steps. Just like left and right click, it works fine, it's just not nice to use. The DPI button is located beneath the scroll wheel, which I'm generally not a fan of, but it's almost flush with the body, and I had no accidental presses in the time I spent using it. The side buttons feel less like buttons and more like toggles or switches, something you'd find on a low-end rice cooker, not a gaming mouse. Moving on to the bottom, we see 3 adequately sized mouse feet and a window that tries to use the LED that lights the Nixeus logo on top to provide an underglow effect, but it just ends up looking kind of sad. The LED's color is determined by DPI setting, and while Nixeus offers software that can change the color independently of DPI, I couldn't get it to work myself. All of this, in conjunction with the low quality of the shell itself, adds up to making the Revel something that I don't enjoy having in my hand. From what I can tell, the sensor is the only reason anyone would even consider this mouse. It's a 3360, and predictably, it's really good. It tracks smoothly, it's fast, and there's no perceptible acceleration. The sensor is clearly not a problem, but my guess is that its inclusion is what led to the corner cutting that happened with the rest of the mouse. This mouse is like taking a 20-year-old computer and putting a 2080 Ti in it. Sure, you have a 2080 Ti, but what use is it when everything surrounding it is holding it back? Given the choice between this and a Zowie with an older sensor, I would go with the Zowie every time. Aside from the sensor, every single aspect of my 3-year-old battle-worn FK1 is superior. If the most basic things like click feel, material choice, and general build quality aren't up to snuff, I don't care what sensor it has. You'd be far better served by a higher quality build, shape, and click feel than you would by that extra little bit of sensor performance. It's not like it's the difference between a mouse ball and a 3360. It's the difference between a 3310 and a 3360. Is the 3360 better? Of course it is, but I wouldn't sacrifice literally everything to have it. Sometimes I'll say that I wasn't a fan of the product, but while it didn't work for me, it might work for you. This is not one of those times. While the mouse is absolutely usable, I would not recommend it to a friend or anyone else, regardless of their hand size or grip style. The Nixeus Revel is a great example of why a mouse should not be chosen on sensor alone, but first on the grounds of size, shape, materials, and build quality. Now, this is a $30 mouse, but even at that price, I don't think there's a compelling argument to be made for it. At around $60, the Zowie FKs are twice the price, but I think the difference in quality more than warrants that. Maybe the G203 just sets an unreasonably high bar for mice in this price point. After all, Nixeus is a much smaller company, so they're not enjoying the same economies of scale. However, it's not like my understanding of that makes it a better product. If you're on a budget and the G203 doesn't suit your hand size, I recommend you either look into other budget mice in this price range, or save up a little bit more and go for one of the Zowie FK series. If you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them in the comments section below. I have more peripheral reviews coming in the future, so if you're interested in that, consider subscribing to the channel. Until next time, thanks for watching.